North Middlesex. It was made up of 3 small towns. Townsend, where I grew up, Pepperell, and the town of Ashby. It's probably about 1,000 kids in the school. Obviously growing up as a coach's kid, as an athlete was fun to be a part of. My sister and I, as you know, we just ran around the high school, ran around practices, both football and hockey. And, as a kid that loves sports, what better way to spend it around, the football and hockey teams at North Middlesex where your dad was the coach. So I think, the childhood we got to experience was a lot different than most. And I think, growing up in small town America sort of made you who you are today, made me who I am. And I think obviously, small town America is very different than big cities. And I tell people all the time, sports and, especially football has changed and really helped do everything in my life, sort of made me who I am, and especially in the entertainment world today.
Absolutely. And, like you said, with your family all around, I mean, your sister is a mom now. She's doing great. And she did field hockey. She did sports, you as well. And your dad is pretty much a legend in North Middlesex, being the football coach there and having a crazy good record with, 6 Super Bowl titles?
I forget what he won, but, obviously was very successful on the football field, but was just as successful in ice hockey, which was really cool. With him winning the school's first state championship, at the old Boston Garden was a really cool thing to be a part of. So, it was an era, that I don't think the town will ever see with the success. And, I think, again, as you know, sports brings communities together, as we see right now in the world going through some tough times where we don't have sports. You think about if we did have sports, how people would be tuned in, and it would sort of unite a country that way.
Absolutely. And I just want to go back to one thing, and I read about it, I heard about it, is when you guys in 94, so you were a junior, were you junior?
Junior year, yeah.
Junior year, and you played Brockton.
We did.
And the coach over there as well, now I think he recently retired, and he's had crazy success over there. And for you guys, when they come in, all like, oh, we're from Brockton, we got big time talent here and a great coach, and you guys upset them 14-7. So, I mean, what was that like when you were actually in the moment?
Well, I mean, again, like you said, Brockton has been a powerhouse since I was a kid. Obviously they play at Rocky Marciano Stadium, and Coach Colombo, who just passed away, I think this past year, obviously was there, long time, legendary, maybe one of the best high school coaches ever. So to have them, come up to, a town of 8,000 people, which Townsend was, where North Middlesex was located.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my dad announcing it at our banquet our sophomore year that we would open up with Brockton. And, for me personally, it was an unbelievable, event, obviously, just to see where the program had come, and the ability and the honor to play a program like Brockton in front of your home crowd. It was epic. It was one of those like Texas high school moments where you go out at 6 o'clock for pregame and you can't see, the street. You can't see, there's 10 deep, the crowd, the stands are packed an hour before the game. And, obviously to do that with your best friends and, to win in front of your home crowd, and then to go down to Rocky Marciano Stadium my senior year and to beat those guys again.
Yeah,
That's the special thing of what high school football is. And I tell people all the time, obviously football gave me everything I have, but it's the safest time to play football, and the lessons that you get from not even the actual games, but, the life lessons and the camaraderie and the people you meet. If I had kids, I would let them play football any day of the week, especially in today's era, because people are way more aware now of the health concerns than they were when I played.
Yeah. A lot less concussions and a lot of protocol with all different types of injuries and stuff, and a lot of advancement in helmets and different equipment for football definitely helps for sure.
Yeah. And I think, to be honest with you, I think I had more concussions in ice hockey than I did football. Because those helmets, were like a piece of paper on your head. You know what I mean? I remember just coming off every shift and, feel like, this splitting headache, all the way down to your jaw, but you don't think anything of it. You just go out and you do it again. So I think I had, more in hockey, even as an option quarterback getting hit. I think I had more in hockey than I did football.
Oh, absolutely. So, Scott, going on to college life now. You're at UMass Lowell, which their program is defunct right now.
It is,
So,
yeah.
what was it like playing? So, you guys played like Hofstra, Assumption, all those types of colleges. So, what was it like playing under that circumstance every Saturday at Lowell?
Yeah, I mean, we Hofstra was 1AA. So because I went to UMass Amherst my freshman year, and that's when we played Hofstra in New Hampshire at the 1AA world. UMass Lowell at the time was Division II. The Bentleys, like you said, Assumption. It was a good New England football league. We were not good in any way, but again, UMass Lowell was a cool experience because again, the people. I got to meet some great people from all around the country, and though that's what you remember, I think, again, because like I said, high school we were really good, college we were really bad, and I think when you're, the quarterback, you get the great credit when you win, and when you lose and you stink, you get the bad credit that goes with it. So, I think college prepared me because we weren't good, and being the coach's kid being the coach's son who was a quarterback on a bad football team, you're it's low hanging fruit that people are going to bust your chops, right? So I think, again, the wins and the highs of football and then the lows of the losses and everything, again, prepared me for real life, but it definitely prepared me for the highs and lows of the entertainment business.
Right. And you do have a show called All American on the CW and Netflix, very popular series.
Yeah.
So basically, it looks like you're just living your life, but in a TV show type of mentality. Now, how do you feel about being an actor in that show? Because it seems like an interesting show. I'm getting a little bit into it now.
Yeah, I mean, it is very popular, obviously, with teens and college kids. And obviously, when it finished season 2 on the CW, I think it dropped on Netflix like the day we got quarantined in the house. And until Tiger King and Ozark came out, All American was the
Yeah.
#1 show for 2 straight weeks. So, again, to be a part, anytime you get to act, I tell people all the time, like, me personally, again, coming from a small town where Hollywood just existed on TV, and to nobody's fault, we just didn't have an opportunity to do any acting. It just wasn't, we just played sports, and it wasn't anybody's fault. I mean, if we had opportunities and I wanted to do it, my parents would stand behind me and just want me to be happy, but we didn't have any opportunities for the acting world. So for me, anytime I get to do it, we shot at Warner Brothers. So I remember just walking off, and I didn't have this mentality my whole life. It's sort of just last 5 years that I get into meditation and saw her shrink and get into yoga. I never enjoyed the process. Everything was, did you win or did you lose? And since I started to actually enjoy the process of life, I remember walking off my first day and looking at the sunset at Warner Brothers. I'm saying, man, like, I get to work at UCLA. I get to be a working actor. And here I am leaving Warner Brothers, which again only existed on TV when we were kids, that I just took a minute, saw the sun setting before I walked back to my car and said, you talk about living a dream, and just took a minute to enjoy it. Because I think, again, where we're from, everything's 100 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
You're not living, you're not enjoying anything. You're trying to either live in the past or you're trying to see what's in the future when, and I'm very open about this. I don't really care at all what people think, but at 38, I went to see a shrink in Beverly Hills, and she changed my life. And one of the gut punches that she gave me was, she said, you seem to have some very cool experiences in life, in entertainment and football, but how many of those things do you think you took the time to actually enjoy? And for me, that hit me like a gut punch,
Yeah.
because the answer was really zero. And because I was always either looking, behind me or looking for what was next. And if we don't enjoy even the smallest victories, then what's the point of doing it? Sort of changed my mindset, and that, I think, has played a huge role, in my, in the acting world, for sure. And just the mindset I bring to football and life in general. And I think, sometimes one of the hardest things to do is look in the mirror and, sometimes you may like some parts about what you see, you might not like what you see, but I tell people it's the greatest gift you can, if you're truly open to change, literally lock yourself in a bathroom, look in the mirror, and then, seek a professional that can help you transition to the person you want to be. And it was the greatest gift I ever gave myself.
And that's awesome. I mean, it must be totally like mind-boggling, to get that help, which is a great thing. But the thing with football and acting, that must be like such a like overwhelming process. I mean, you're dealing with player relations at UCLA. You're actually acting at the same time. Probably thankful that you are filming at the same location at UCLA with some of the scenes. So it must be great to, I saw Chip was in there. So, I mean, it must be great to have like pretty much family with you. I mean, Chip seems like a really good guy. If anybody doesn't know, Chip Kelly is the UCLA football coach. So
Yeah, I've known, again, yeah, the ability to literally be working and doing, football by day, and then when we cleared out on that Thursday during the week, football, the week is done Thursday morning when the kids leave. So that was the one window that I said to the people at All American, if we want to use campus, it's got to be on a Thursday in a small window. And you know, Chip Kelly is literally, I've known Coach since I was 13 years old, obviously going to watch University of New Hampshire's practice with my dad. And then, my first real college job was coaching the tight ends when Coach was the offense coordinator in New Hampshire. And, obviously, people like, how do you do football and acting at the same time? And it goes back to everything. It's relationships. And, obviously I'm not on the field coaching, so I'm not involved in the X's and O's like I used to be. So obviously it's a different role, but the role I have at UCLA that Coach created for me is still awesome. You still get to be a part of it and help people and meet people. And then he's given me the greatest gift. He allows me to do things that I never was able to do. And, when I was a high school coach, I could never audition in the fall. So I could never really dive into the acting like I wanted to. And then when Coach got the job, I had left, the private school I was at, and we had an open conversation in his office, and it was like, hey, you can help me and I can help you. And for the first time, I didn't have to look over my shoulder to go audition. And obviously if I'm not doing anything entertainment wise, it's all UCLA. And, I don't take that for granted. If Coach or anybody else needs anything, from me at UCLA, I do it and do it right away. But truly, truly honored to be able to do, three things I love, get to be a part of football, get to act, and get to produce. And, I don't take any of the three for granted.
that's definitely, like you said, living the dream for sure. And happy that you're getting to do what you want to do. I mean, you have a arsenal of places you've been, what you've done. I mean, you've coached at UNH, you've coached at a high school in California, you've coached at Marshall, you've coached now at UCLA. UCLA is a big Pac-12 school. I mean, for your schedule this year, what if football happens, are you guys going to be ready at that time?
Yeah, I think, obviously this is a rough time for anybody. And obviously you don't know when, where, or anything's going to be lifted, where everybody's safe to go back. But the unique thing is that every school in the country is going through the same thing. So nobody is going to gain an advantage. I assume that when, the higher ups, people higher than me on the pay grade, make those decisions, everybody is going to be allotted a window to get ready to go out and play. But no, I mean, I think when you're not, nobody is going to be as strong as they would be in their regular routines, whether around the strength coaches, us as coaches, even classrooms, even the education has shifted to online learning. And, but I think the people that are going to come out of this the best are the people that, again, and I think the athletes and people in sports, because they've dealt with adversity. And obviously this is a very adverse time in our country, but I think the great programs are going to have a plan. They're going to be able to adjust and make the best of a rough situation.
So my thing is too, now with your athletes, like from your red shirts to your seniors, do they have a way to, like, study film or do any sort of type of thing like that?
Yeah, I mean, we have the NCAA. I think it's up to like 8 hours now where you can meet with your kids. Everything's through Zoom or some kind of online
Right.
platform. So
Okay.
we have allotted hours that we, stay under, but they have, whether it's team meetings, meetings with their position coaches. I mean, we are basically going outside of them actually being missing spring practice or lifting in our weight room. Everybody's catered. Whatever workouts they do or they're allowed to do is based on what the kids have for equipment. But I think it's 8 hours a week you can do football related meetings, and our coaches and staff does a great job keeping the kids prepared that when we do go back, we're as ready as we could possibly be.
That's great that they're still keeping that, given at least a window of hours to concentrate on, your schedule. I mean, I see your schedule. The Pac-12 is tough, and I see who you're playing, and and you got a big one against a ranked team in Utah. I mean, you're playing your same olds, your Stanfords, your UCLA, Washington State, all them. They're all still powerhouses out there. So, do you guys think you have a good sense of how you transitioned last year? I mean, that was a big win against USC last year. So, are you guys like building off of that type of win, or how your season went last year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we won three and had the big SC win coach's first year. Last year we won 4 games. I think everything else, programs, and when you take over, whether it's new ownership or new coach, new staff, things don't happen overnight. And one thing that coach is real big on is the process of, enjoying the process, trusting the process. And I think, us going into year 3, our kids, we played a lot of. I think we were the youngest football team the last 2 years in college football. Now going into year 3, those kids have all been in the program. They know what Coach Kelly wants, how the program runs. So we're definitely looking forward to year 3 whenever we can get back. But the Pac-12, like you said, top to bottom is it's a battle every week, and everybody, if you don't show up, you're not going to win versus your opponent that week.
And it's, some people are under the assumption that, like, out here in the East Coast, it's like ACC, it's SEC. They're always going to go to the playoff, but that's not all true, because I mean, you got the Alabamas, you got the Clemsons, you got Notre Dame, you got all those, but the strength of schedule out there is just as tough as the ones out here. I mean, you guys went to Oklahoma last year. I mean, those are tough places to play and tough schedules they have, but I feel like you guys have an all around general tough schedule this year coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, I think when you're at this level of college football, it's not, there's no gimmies on your schedule anymore. And I think, like you said, the competitiveness to try to get into the playoff system, whereas teams used to play, 1AA programs that would get paid to come in and be your early part of your schedule. Teams they're getting away from that and trying to get the best preseason competition to get ready for their league, because everything you do now is under a microscope by the playoff committee. And again, every league is competitive. There's good football programs all across the country in every division now, or every league in 1A football. There's talent everywhere. We're back when we grew up, there was limited bowls. You had the perennial powerhouses and the rest of the teams that might not be very good. But now recruiting has changed and everybody's good. And we obviously think the Pac-12 top to bottom is as good as anybody. And but I think it's one of those things where you just got to control what you can control, and that's to put the best product on the field each week. And if you do that, then and you have a great year, people will probably take notice.
Well, for sure. And so, when does it look like I hear from different aspects of football that some teams up and down NFL college are giving like kids like iPads or something to study, do film and stuff like that. Are you guys doing that type of stuff, or is it just the Zoom type of stuff?
No, I mean, I think what's different today is colleges, and I mean the amount of stuff that legally that you can give your own kids has changed dramatically, and obviously technology has changed that. So Our kids have everything that anybody else does,
Hmm.
but that's a big difference. I think where the game of football has changed is through technology, not just Zooms now, but everybody. I mean, you have your iPhone. Kids can watch film. You can make a highlight film as a high school kid on your iPhone. So
Right.
technology has definitely changed the game. And again, this is these times is where technology really helps us, because imagine if this was 1985, and we had this pandemic. How could you communicate with your kids? Use a landline telephone, and you couldn't do anything. So
Yeah, the
I
spin
think,
dial.
yeah. So I think everybody's grateful right now that technology is where it's at. Really, ultimately, obviously for film and all that, but really just to get a beat on how your kids and your players are doing, obviously through these tough times. So when you can see them, even if it's by a Zoom call, and look in their eyes, and just again their health and well being is Coach Kelly's top concern, as is everybody
Right.
else.
Yeah, of course, it's got to be the top priority for your players.
Mhm.
And, I feel like Chip and your whole coaching staff is there for the kids. It's not about, oh, well, you need to be okay for me. You're my man this year to go out and play. It's not about that. I
Yeah,
don't know if different colleges, they're getting 5-star recruits like they're nothing.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
like,
again, I don't know. Obviously everybody does things different, but um, you know, coaches, Coach Kelly is, he's from New Hampshire. He's from Manchester, New Hampshire. So he's got that East Coast vibe, and he's not going to tell you something that is not true. And the big thing is, if you don't want to go to class, I mean, obviously UCLA is unbelievable academically, and our kids,
medically too, medically.
all of the above. It's an unbelievable place to
Yeah.
go to school, to work at. And, our kids work hard, just as hard in the classroom as they do on the field. And if you don't want to do that, then you're probably not a good fit. But coach's concern is about the student first, the athlete, and then setting them up when football does end. Because we have some unbelievable resources with alumni and internship stuff, that it's not just hot air from him. He means it, that again, football is going to end. So we want to prepare our kids that, it's almost like football's over now. They do it, but let's get them to meet some unbelievable people, get them in internships. So the day football does end, they can transition into whatever they're passionate about, and they have the ability to find that while at UCLA.
Well, I think with you at player relations, you contribute a lot to these kids. I mean, you step them in the right direction, I'm sure. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
that's
that,
the coolest. I tell the kids, like, obviously it's awesome when we win games, but not being involved in the X's and O's. The highs I get is seeing the kids, think and know what their dream is, and then play a small part in helping them, try to navigate and find that. Because again, when we were kids, our parents didn't know. They did the best they could, but it was just, you got to do this, you got to do that, and you got to sort of stay in your own little box. And I think in today's world, these kids and as us as a society, we think outside the box. So, it's awesome to just play a small role in trying to help these kids connect the dots to whatever their dreams, may be.
for sure. Now, for you, what is it for you if with coaching? Are you trying to step up, or are you trying to go through your acting career? Are you just unsure at the moment?
No, I mean, my goal is to be, an actor and a producer, and um, you know, I'm the job I have at UCLA is the perfect fit for me. If I wanted to, be an on the field coach again, then I wouldn't be able to do the acting and the producing. But that is
Yeah.
what I came out here to do 12 years ago, and um, I'll continue to do the football as long as I feel I'm bringing something to UCLA, and coach will have me around, and that's why it's still a priority to do that. Obviously because I get paid, and want to contribute in any way I can to UCLA, and sooner or later though, I think if once we get back to normal, and if I can continue to climb in the entertainment world, not just as an actor, but as a producer, at some point, the football will probably end. But, I'm just excited that I can still do all three right now. And when the opportunity comes to where, or presents itself to where it's, I just don't have the time to give UCLA what it's giving back to me, then it's probably time to step away. But right now, I'm grateful to have all three, and we'll see where the world goes.
Well, so my final question to you, Scott, is so you've played at North Middlesex under the lights on Friday. You've played at UMass. You coached at various colleges on Saturdays. And what to you is a better type of feeling with North Middlesex or any of your coaching? What would you prefer, Fridays or Saturdays?
Well, my dad told me this a long time ago. When I get into coaching, especially in the high school world, Friday nights or Saturdays, it's the same thing, but one's going to have more people at it than the other one. But the wins and losses still feel the same. And I've been a part, of some great wins in the year I was in professional sports in the old Arena League, to huge wins at the college level, to some huge wins as a high school coach and a high school player. And I think football is football, and I still tell kids, to that high you get from winning a football game, there's no man-made substance or people or places or things that will give you that 30-second to minute high in the locker room with your best friends and people that have worked hard for one goal. There's just not a drug they could make that could capture that feeling, that euphoric feeling. And that's, to me, I think what drives people that are in football today is that feeling that you get from winning a football game.
So definitely live in the moment for sure.
Definitely. Because, if you don't, you're going to miss a whole lot of opportunities. And, I think sometimes it's even the smallest of victories, you got to take a minute and enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy the wins, the losses will kill you, right? So.
Right. Yep. Well, Scott, I appreciate you being on the show, and good luck with acting or whatever you're going to do, and with the upcoming season hopefully happens. If not, then I know you're in a good place, and stay safe out there. Hopefully you'll come home at some point.
Yeah. Right back at you, man. I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's great. I think more people, again, should do what you're doing, because you got to start with something somewhere. Things catch on, and all of a sudden, you're the greatest podcaster in the world, and all of a sudden you become the new Howard Stern, which would be good to listen to.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. I appreciate the time, and you know where to find me if you need me.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All right,
Scott.
man.
I'll talk to you.